be able to compete on the world stage. Long road to go. But this is where you have to prove yourself right here, so we'll see if they're able to do that with the next game.
And the reason that that feature gives me a lot of confidence in MSE is, first off, they addressed that in the HK series, they just didn't prepare enough. They didn't work hard enough, and they've acknowledged that. And I think being humble like that, acknowledging that this is our bad, this is our mistake, we didn't work hard enough, we didn't put the effort in, really shows that as a team, they've got the right mindset to pull through here. Is it going to be enough? I'm not sure, but they've got the tools, they've got the strength in players. Is can they execute?
Yeah, and that's you have to identify that you have to fix it, and it's a good step in the right direction. But whether or not MSE is going to be able to fix it is yet to be seen. After that performance in the first game, it just it just quite look that good for them moving into this next one. But they have to make a lot of changes, and the start of that's going to be in the pick and bans.
Well, and the big thing here, too, is that this is a best of 5. They have a lot of time to adjust. Even if they lose out in the second game, they still have one more. Obviously, it's very difficult, but we have seen a reverse sweep. We saw it yesterday. We didn't believe it would happen, but it is possible. So they have opportunities to change everything, to make things work. I thought Empty was where he needed to be in terms of counter ganks. I thought he was showing up. But I think that at the end of the day, they've just misidentified what they want to do as a team. We can only hope that for they've prepped more than one strategy, because it's just not realistic for them to run the same thing over and over again, and especially with such poor results in the first game.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know what they're going to do moving into this next one, to try to even running a different composition. Historically, they just, like they said in that video, the communication just isn't there. So even if they're running a composition that isn't a protect the ADC comp, are they going to be able to pull it off? And if they can't work as a unit, especially like how Flash Wolves proved that they could in that last, fall further and further behind.
And it's really tough to fall down. Even if there's that reverse sweep that we talked about, you still have to win every single game. You have to play nearly as flawlessly to come back. And there's not been any indication to assume that from MSE. They've been sloppy in their games. They stopped the hemorrhaging at least to a certain degree, but it really wasn't enough. So it's looking pretty grim right now. The shot, but if Flash Wolves keep playing as well as they have, it's looking pretty Flash Wolves favored.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I mean, we saw from the other LMS casters, and they say Flash Wolves are pretty much going to win. Only one team giving it over to MSC. But pretty boldly stated, especially after watching that last game. We'll see. I mean, we didn't think that we were going to go to game 5 yesterday. So there is this potential for upset and just for surprise. So maybe that is going to happen here in this series. But hopefully it doesn't take till game 3 for MSC to actually kind of kick it into gear and get rolling toward that victory path.
I think that this was a good first game to lose, because it will humble them, make them realize that they can't just play double scaling. They can't play that crutch comp, where you just wait for 45, 50 minutes and you out-damage the enemy team. Simple as that, regardless of how many items they have, regardless of their gold advantage. Instead, they need to mix it up. They need to play something more complex. They need to shift some of the pressure off Stitch and Candy, maybe give LOFS a character that he can do more on. I mean, I know Shen is powerful. Shen, obviously a very great meta champion, can outmaneuver Maokai with the double global ultimates, but where is the Gnar? Where are these champions that he makes plays on, that he consistently can carry on, and that he can be a lane bully? And we haven't seen that from him yet. I don't want to see more Shen, and if we see more Shen, I want to see something different from Candy or something different from Stitch. Not everything can stay the same, or they're going to run into the same exact problems.
Yeah, I mean, part of the power that comes with playing as Shen, in addition to being able to bully out the Maokai typically and outmaneuver him with those double globals, is that you want to be able to use it aggressively. And with the composition that they used in that last game, you're just not able to do that because you're constantly playing on the back foot. You're constantly using the Stand United to, save the AD carry rather than assisting him and allowing him to get the kills by showing up and using that Shadow Dash. So I'd like to see a different AD carry coming out from the side of MSC. We talked about maybe the Lucian. Even something like a Tristana can be a bit more impactful. If Shen goes in and he taunts somebody, that allows for several more auto attacks onto a target that has an explosive charge, which makes for a lot more damage. You can pressure tower outs much earlier than you can. You can match that tower push potential that Sivir has early and exceed it with a Tristana even early on in the game. We'll see what these guys are going to do as we enter the picks and bans. You see Rumble going to be the first ban taken away by Flash Wolves. Diana yet again from Midnight Sun. They do not want to see this played by Maple. So opting to just go ahead and get rid of that one. But
I haven't taking away Diana from Maple is an interesting choice. I'm not sure exactly why they're doing this, but they're staying consistent with it. And the Nidalee ban, totally approve of. Karsa, don't give them Nidalee, ever. It's a horrible idea. So good job from Midnight Sun keeping consistent in that regard. But what they're going to change here on red side is what's going to be interesting for me. Because they can leave open Callista for NL if they want, but they can leave open Sivir. They're giving him one guaranteed if Flash Wolves want to take it, and so they're in a really rough spot. They just don't have enough bans here.
Yep.
So they better have something up their sleeve with these first 2 picks that they're going to get. Otherwise, they're going to fall right back into the same composition from Flash Wolves, at least. Flash Wolves are going to get everything that they want, and Midnight Sun is going to be, once again, in an awkward position. Elise, the ban here as well.
Yeah, so Empty playing that one. Doesn't want to give it over to Karsa, but again, he could just go straight for the Lee Sin. It was so impactful. His Dragon's Rages were great, but Kalista has made it through, and it gets picked up here by the Flash Wolves, so that will just be their first selection that they snatch up. So this does allow for the Sivir to go over to the side of Stitch if they want to play that.
So they didn't ban a 3rd champion, and that's not a visual bug as far as I can tell. So presumably something happened that we missed out on. Either intentionally they didn't do this just to leave more up for themselves, or someone was talking during a pause. Those are my theories. But let's stay away from the bans now as we get into the picks. Callista coming through is going to be huge here. Flash Wolves, we saw how diligent they were in Dragon Control earlier on. And while they won't have the same amount of tower pressure that they did with Sivir, they will have much more neutral objective control. Callista's Rend, of course, out-damaging a Smite. And with Elise off the table, there's really no one else who can put out that amount of damage. The most that they could hope for is like a Nunu, and that's not even an option because they've already locked in their jungler on the side of Midnight Sun.
Yeah, and we saw the Sejuani hover. I was kind of worried that was going to happen. I know that Empty likes playing that, but it's just really not in favor these days. Going to the Rek'Sai, a much more consistent jungler, can really apply pressure. We saw Dinter doing wonders with that in the latter half of the series yesterday. So Empty going to try his hand on that one. We see a very nice bot lane, though, coming out for the side of Flash Wolves with his Kalista Thresh. Fantastic target for the Fate's Call. Throw him into the center, drops the box. You know, flays, hooks, all around. So looking like a good bot lane. Actually opting to take the Shen this time around for stake, maybe in anticipation if LOFS wants to take the Maokai. We'll see what they decide to go for as they go into this next round of picks. But the Victor has been picked up here for Candy. We saw that played by Maple last game. Not too surprising that they take that one away.
So really what I love here from MSE is that they've changed their comp entirely. The entire identity of their team is very different. If they do lock in this Jinx, obviously they still have the scaling pick, but mid-game team fighting now shored up by this Victor pick. Additionally, Rek'Sai, still a very high-impact jungler, but much easier to execute on, obviously. Unburrowing, a much more reliable way to get a lockdown as opposed to Cocoon. Much less surprising, of course, because it's not as much range, but a very effective way. And if we look, they have a lot of early game gank pressure into this mid lane as well, because Gravity Field is easily paired with Twisted Advance, it's Headbutt Pulverize, the Unburrow from Rek'Sai, and at the end of the day, if Maple doesn't pick something very safe here, he could be in trouble early on, and we could see Midnight Sun turn the tables on Maple after that aggressive early play from Flash Wolves last game and shut down Maple early on, which I think would help out immensely in the early to mid game. Additionally, it's an interesting choice from MSE to leave their last pick open for Stitch, but I like it because we have a lot of damage from Victor, but it's not insane late game, right? Especially without a Sivir. But if they pick up a Sivir here, they can rely more on the Victor, or they can pick up that late game scaling hyper carry that they like and rely on the Maokai and the Rek'Sai to initiate, whereas the Alistar can peel. And they have a lot more flexibility this pick ban as opposed to last time around where they had a very one-dimensional, very linear composition.
Yeah, now we can see. This is going to be Karsa revisiting this Lee Sin pick. So says, you know what, you want to take away my Nidalee yet again. I'm just going to go straight for this pick. It worked so well last time. He's looking to have a repeat performance. And he shouldn't have too much difficulty pulling off those insect kicks just because of how fairly immobile the carries are on the side of MSC, especially if they lock in the solution. He does have his dash. It can disrupt the placement of the Lee Sin. But if he gets on top of you with the Sonic Wave into the Resonating Strike, he's going to be able to kick you some way away from your team.
Here's the issue with that. Is why normally I totally agree. Rek'Sai disrupts Lee Sin completely because he can unburrow when Lee Sin's mid-animation on the Sonic Wave, or the Resonating Strike rather, and can cancel that out, which really makes it hard for Karsa to be mobile at all. Additionally, Alistar, it's not Janna, right? You don't have to commit too much just to pull someone to stop any further interaction. Yeah. The good news is that MSE has still put a lot on this scaling Jinx with this final lock-in. So late game, if Lee Sin can get the insect, it's a huge, huge impactful play. The downside is much more difficult to execute this time around, and additionally, much less effective in the sense that they only now have one scaling threat as opposed to two. Because earlier, if he had insect the Azir back in, still a great way to start a fight. If he had insect the Kog'Maw, great. Now he really only has one ideal target, which really lets MSE play pretty much as expected, which is keep the Jinx safe. You don't have to worry about keeping the Victor safe. The Victor is much more independent. He can keep himself safe with the Gravity Field, with the Chaos Storm. And honestly, it looks like MSE identified their problems perfectly, have adapted, but Flash Wolves also have a very strong composition for themselves. They got that Kalista that they wanted, and it's looking like both teams are in much better positions, much more even game in terms of pick and ban.
Yeah. One of the things we have to keep our eye out, though, for is going to be early on this level 2 gank, this 4-man gank that they pulled off onto Candy in the last game, got that first blood secured. They could definitely do that yet again, especially against a Victor. It depends on if he's going to end up taking the Gravity Field second, but if he feels like he's safe in lane and doesn't have vision around him, he might just take the Siphon Power with the Death Ray and then be completely susceptible. But as you can see, we are on to the Rift, and there's a pause.
Okay. So during this pause, let's talk about the early game, because there's a lot of questions here. So as we've talked about a little bit yesterday, Jinx is one of the few champions in the game that can get level 2 faster than a Sivir, which means she can, of course, get level 2 faster than the Kalista, which means that if they want to duo lane, Jinx either gets the early advantage, gets to push in faster, alternatively, Kalista can start the Krugs. So just in that dynamic play alone, it feels to me like more likely than not, MSE may try to lane swap just to get early aggressive pressure, because at the end of the day, Kalista level 2 is an insane power spike.
Yeah.
And especially in a lane where you're looking at a Kalista Thresh, if a single hook lands, your champion's pretty much out of the game. And getting shut down so early as a Jinx means you're not going to be relevant for a very long time. So I expect to see an early lane swap to keep the Jinx safe, to let her farm up at least a little bit. And additionally, we talk about Sivir taking towers quickly. Doesn't even compare to Jinx. The Gatling gun attack speed steroid is just absolutely massive in that regard.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they want to go for that lane swap or if they're going to go for the 2v2. Certainly be at the disadvantage of MSE, even with that Alistar there to protect. But we are onto the Rift for game 2 between Midnight Sun and Flash Wolves. Midnight Sun looking to pick up a win. Flash Wolves looking to go up 2 games over top of MSE and try to close this out very cleanly in this best-of-5 series. They had a very methodical and surgical game last time around. Let's see if they're able to have that repeat performance, or if they're going to give up some ground here to the side of Midnight Sun. See, standard 5-point really coming across from both teams. Oh, actually, no, that's not going to be the 5 point from MSC. It's going to be 5 point from the side of Flash Wolves. All of MSC is grouped up in this top side around that red pit.
So they're anticipating the early invade because it looks like, for all intents and purposes, that Flash Wolves have the stronger level 1. So they're reading something here. They're taking the gamble and thinking, oh, you're going to invade for the lane swap, because that's what we talked about. We expected the lane swap. They expected Flash Wolves to expect that, and countered by stacking 5 in a bush. It's clever play, but at the end of the day, it's a misread, and they're not going to get anything from it. But if Flash Wolves had been going for the lane swap, if they had pushed for that deep vision, it would have been a massacre in the favor of MSE. So actually really smart play from MSE coming out here in this early game. And you can see them adapting. They're going to make sure that Empty has the safe start. Pause coming out. Looking at the bottom side, NL and Sword Art are going to be taking these Krugs here, which is going to be huge, as we said. Will allow them to keep pace with Sivir in the early game, and in theory out-damage her as we move forward into the game.
A lot of ifs here. We'll see if they are able to, maybe rotate up to match the swap from the side of MSC. It would certainly be in favor.
I think that says Flash Wolves fighting. I can't read it, but there's a Flash Wolves logo. And got my Sherlock on, some deductive reasoning.
Very astute deduction that you
can be my Watson, Achilles. That's all I'm saying.
I thought it was a bookmark at first. That'd be a really big book.
Dude, not everybody has industrial printers or craft skills. You have to let him print it on the 8.5 by 11. You can't knock him out because he did that.
Actually, we have the Thundersticks for Midnight Sun scattered throughout the audience, a bit more evenly distributed, I feel, between the audience representation. Yesterday was very heavily favored for Hong Kong esports to come out on top.
And we're gonna have to see today. Flash Wolves were very dominant, more dominant than we saw. I mean, we saw the same thing from Taipei Assassins game 1, right? A very dominant game, and obviously went to 5 games as well. So once again, All bets are off. Take us into the game, Watson.
I'm Watson.
God, I wanted so
Why
bad.
am I? No, I'm not Watson.
I'm Sherlock, man. Just give me this. All right.
all right. Whoa, okay.
That.
Looks like we have
It's a bit of an error on the side, but you can hear Jinx CSing. This is, oh, Garena. You misclicked. So, okay, moving forward.
Right.
Smaller technical issues aside. So Flash Wolves pushing in, getting that fast level 2 for NL as expected, and they actually do end up swapping Jinx to the top side. So clearly, once again,
oh, what the heck is happening? LOFS is so far forward. He's trying to go deep. We're gonna have to see a replay of this. I'm gonna assume that Maple flashed with the twisted advance underneath the tower and then locked him in with maybe a charm.
Well, it looks like actually LFS went in. Yeah, Maple flashed back, and then LFS tried to flash out, but Maple leveled up and hit charm. But
I really hope we get a replay.
wait. We'll get a replay. That was we were way too distracted with Sherlock jokes.
Well, we were also on the bottom side of the map. So MSE comes out of here. It's going to flash, draws him under the tower. Karsa, fantastic arrival. They just lock him with that charm, and he goes down.
So the issue there is that flashing into his advance is obviously always an option, and he should have seen that coming. What he was hoping to happen was that the team would interrupt any response time, that the Rek'Sai would flash in and knock up the Ahri, and it's just a little bit of a fumble on coordination, and this might mean that MSE as a whole aren't as comfortable running those early pressure ganks, and the downside here is that we're starting to look exactly like the previous game. Karsa's getting going, Maple's getting going, and Candy's going to start falling behind here pretty quickly, which is not good whatsoever. The redeeming factor here, though, is Stitch is farming up safely in the top line, and this time around, Chunks is roaming and trying to make an impact for the most part. So MSE is learning, MSE is adapting, but early fumbles like that are not good.
Yeah, oh, Candy getting grabbed up. Chunks is running his way down. Try to save him. Maple throws out that Orbit Deception. Does a good deal of damage to him. Works him down to half HP. It's going to be a pink ward taken away by side of MSC, but going to have to play much more cautiously here. Now Empty coming around the back side of NL. He should get the pop up. He pops him up even though the flash comes across. LFS is not playing forward here. Sapling takes NL down to about half HP, but he's going to be safe for the time being. So they actually probably could have gotten a lot more harass off had they both engaged, but LOFS seemingly content to just sit back, get the CS, just throw out the Sapling for that added little bit of damage. Just trying to apply a little bit of pressure, I suppose.
And this is part of the reason why a lot of teams will ban out the Kalista against NL, is you saw there, when Maokai didn't follow up, NL just kept auto-attacking. He wasn't scared. He knew that if Rek'Sai overcommitted, that he would win in the long run. Sustained damage trades, Kalista's always going to come out on top. The more spears you have in here, the more Ren damage you do. It's pretty straightforward. But that kind of confidence from him in this early game is pretty impressive.
It's very bold.
Yeah. And this is why, once again, why they ban it, is he has confidence, he knows how far he's going to jump back, he knows how much damage he can output, and it's a true shine of champion mastery.
Yeah, he also does know that LFS's flash is down because he did burn that in the mid lane. So that knowledge as well, it'd be very difficult for the Maokai to close that gap, not to get over toward NL. So keeps himself pretty safe. Good knowledge by him.
So
knowing that matchup.
The other big thing here is who's going to take first early towers, because Flash Wolves and MSE are very clearly committed to just freezing the wave and farming up for both these carries. Of course, for Kalista, despite the nerfs, still very easy to get a 2-item power spike. Bloodthirster, Runa, and Hurricane, obviously huge, strong items. Jinx, Infinity Edge also going to be massive. Infinity Edge, Static Shiv, or Phantom Dancer, whatever she wants to take, but she much more heavily relies on the Last Whisper, so there will be a little bit of a disproportionate level of power here in the mid game, and it's going to come down to who can take these early objectives and break us out of this laning phase, because right now the advantage is slowly going towards Flash Wolves, at least probably around the 15-minute mark.
Yep. You see a lot of heavy roam down to the spawn side of the map by MSC. We get spotted out by that ward though. Be cleared with the pink. Karsa on the roam down. Maple as well, but he gets spotted by that safe ward that's been placed around the Dragon Pit, and they'll turn out the Sentinel around that Tri-Brush, trying to keep himself as safe as humanly possible. Doesn't want another flank gang coming in from Empty. So good coverage by Flash Wolves.
One of the things I really like from MSC this time around is they don't want to hemorrhage dragons, because that was part of the reason why they lost out on the last game, was because of that like 5th dragon or save the base decision, where there's really no right answer. And so they've kind of shifted down their vision control to the bottom side of the map, and they're making sure that there's not going to be any kind of crazy dive plays from Flash Wolves. They're making sure that their jungle is safe. The downside, as we see Maple roam up, is that Stitch is in trouble.
Yeah, he's using the ultimate just to get in range. Lands the charm. Stitch is going to go down. Maple finds himself his second kill in the top lane. Stitch gonna need to get some ward coverage in that tri-brush. Good roam by the mid laner of the Flash Wolves.
Remember when I said Steak wasn't so good and then he flash charmed someone for a kill? Stepping up. I mean, so this is just perfect play. It's well coordinated. This is what MSE tried to do early on, where you stack the CC perfectly and it didn't work. But Flash Wolves, they've done this so many times. They know exactly how to pull off these ganks. And at the end of the day, as we said, MSE, they put all their ward control on the bottom side of the map. It means that the Jinx is
they're going to go for the dive as well. The Shen ultimate coming across onto Sword Art as he tanks up the tower, goes forward. Chunks is quite low. The rocket comes across, but it only catches Steak, and he finds the kill on the Chunks. LOFS on the retreat to try to get underneath this tower. Sword Art has to be careful. The Fate's call to save him. They juggle it back to Steak. They pop him up in the air. They throw him back in. He's got the Rens into him. They find the kill. Karsa takes that one away, and Flash Wolves now 4-0, just 8 minutes into this game.
That was, without a doubt, the most flawless tower dive we have ever seen in the LMS, at least in this tournament, because that was perfect. They used the Fate's call excellently. They threw it back out for the stun. They got it to break the tower aggro, and nearly perfect. I mean, you have the Shen ult coming in as well, and there's absolutely nothing you can do. In those tower dive scenarios, if you can keep someone alive long enough, you can see exactly how much damage Kalista does.
Yeah, look how gorgeous.
Perfect hook to start. We're going to see the Shen ult come in immediately to keep it down. And the Chunks, with that Ignite ticking and so many spears inside of him, he's dead in an instant. And now LLFS is just left to wait. I mean, the most he can hope for is getting a kill back, but he's pretty much guaranteed to die. He thinks for 1 second that he's going to be able to get Sword Art with the tower aggro. NL's ready for this one. NL turns it around. Karsa's here to back it up in case any other member of the team is there in time, but I mean, Flash Wolves, once again, incredibly dominant, more dominant than the game that they even had before. They're not hesitating. They found that first win, they've gained that confidence, and now they have a 3K gold lead only 9 minutes into the game.
And yeah, and we can see the communication from Flash Wolves is just so on point. Stake following through with the Stand United immediately on that dive. MSE in that video talking about the communication issues that the team suffers. That's really showing true here. And one of the things, arguably, of course, hindsight is 2020. We're watching these guys play. They're under the pressure of having to execute. Chunks head-butted Sword Art away as the rocket connected, and it arguably could have finished off the Thresh, making the rest of that dive pretty much impossible and could have kept LFS alive.
I mean, maybe. The thing is like that small mechanical error, Steak was there to cover, and Steak has actually been playing the map much better this time around. It looks like giving him 2 teleports is exactly what he needs in terms of map movement, because, you know, normally we would have seen a Maokai down there, but I mean, LFS was already there, LFS was already present, and Steak is just outmaneuvering this guy, and LFS is the carry top laner. This is the guy we expect so much from, and as far as Steak is concerned, we're like, he's a good team environment. It's really good sign for Flash Wolves, especially in terms of like coming in to fighting, if they can win here, fighting against HKE, that Steak is performing so well.
Gonna have to be very careful though. Let's see MT hovering around that bot side of the map. He's just gonna have to go back to get the Gromp. Not gonna be able to find the entry that he needs. Dragon has not yet become contested 10 minutes into this game. Might see that one coming up quite shortly though. MSC I'm sure would be quite happy if they could acquire that for themselves.
This is insane in the top lane. I can't.
Yeah.
Steak is really stepping up here. He's winning his lane by a massive margin. 1-0 and 2. Bame Cinder. LFS forced to build triple Doran's Ring just to keep up here, and he's still down by 24 CS. This is, I mean, this is oppressive, and this is the thing we talk about. We talk about the top lane tank matchup being so passive. Like, no one has an advantage, no one can kill anyone else, but when you get this far ahead, you suddenly become a very realistic threat to pressure out this Maokai, to take down this turret, to kill this tanky threat. And when that happens, it means that suddenly Empty either has to go top or be willing to forfeit that lane entirely.
Let's see Flash Wolves on their own down to the bot side. Sword Art taking a lot of damage here in advance of this potential dive. MSE know that they are in the area. Good ward placed by the ramp into their jungle by the Dragon Pit. Does notify them of that one. But Karsa just gaining more ground for the team, taking out the Scuttle Crab. Maple takes a bit of damage there from that death ray. We can see Candy, despite being, kind of down here against this 2-0 Ahri, still able to pump out the damage. Up in CS as well, so looking pretty solid. He's got 12 over top. Karsa, oh, this is so deadly. Dashes away from the Unburrow, smites him to chill him out. But Karsa's going to be safe, especially with that extra move speed that he gets from the Scuttle Crab.
And once again, looking at these teams, what we have to be aware of is that the vision control from MSE, despite them having a stronger early game team comp, is really defensive. And that's not great to see because it means it's going to make it very difficult for them to contest objectives like Dragon. They have this pink up on their blue buff. They have some tunnel control on their side of the map. But if you see Flash Wolves, once again, now that they know they're stronger with this 2k gold lead, they're pushing in slowly but surely into the enemy jungle as far as vision is concerned. They'll put a ward one more bush forward, but if it means that they can get a pick, it's a huge advantage overall.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that Karsa hasn't just gone for the Dragon solo at this point. He could definitely take that one by himself and then remain safe because he can always just safeguard over top, back across the Dragon pit if he needs to get himself to safety, but just opting to leave that one on the board for the time being. You can see Stake still doing a good job of controlling this top of the map. 87 to 62 CS. He's stretching a pretty good lead for himself and actually forcing the triple Doran's Ring build from LFS, which is just a really bizarre one.
Yeah, I pointed that out earlier, and it's just an ARAM when you build triple Dorans? I approve. In Summoner's
That's
Rift,
like the one.
Oh, engage here.
Yeah, Chunks gets grabbed up. He has the Unbreakable Will. He's going to keep himself pretty safe. That is going to be the Void Rush for Empty as he hovers down to the spot side of the map, but I don't think there's going to be much more engage outside of that for either side here. But LFS is good. If he wants to be impactful in these fights, he needs to find some actual items pretty soon here. These triple Dorans are just not going to cut it.
Well, the good thing is that traditionally when you pick Maokai before Shen and Maokai were the staple top laners. Oh, engage here. Short.
Nope, maybe not. That could be the turnaround. Yeah, that's going to be Ignite coming across. Shen ultimate coming onto Sword Art. Empty playing far forward. Here comes Karsa on the backside. Chilling Spite onto Chunks. He does not hit the Sonic Wave, but doesn't matter. He has the Dragon's Rage. Now LFS is so far forward, but he doesn't have the tanky items that he needs. Locks onto Karsa with a Twisted Advance, and they do take him down. Now that actually forces Stake on the Flash. Rocket comes across, only going to hit the Shen. The Chaos Storm comes across, and it's just ripping through the health bars of Flash Wolves. I don't think they're going to be able to find any other kills. So far, it's a 1 for 2 in favor of Flash Wolves. Maple now on the spot side should be able to clear out this wave with relative ease. The rest of the team going to have to retreat. The Death Ray not going to connect. Candy can't get that one out in time. Maple goes forward, gets the charm into LFS. The Ignite, the Twisted Advance, he drags him underneath the tower. Now Candy there as well, and he's eating up the turret. Here comes Stake. He gets the taunt. Stitch is going to go down. It's a double kill going over to Maple, and the charm lands. It's a triple kill. No, Stake taking that one away for himself. He says, you can have these ones. This one's mine. But Flash Wolves coming up huge off of that tower dive.
LOFS keeps falling for that, and it's just so clean from Maple every time. Dash backwards, pull you into the tower, lock you down, make it happen. Stake coming in perfectly, communicating with his team, knowing that he could back Maple up, and Flash Wolves turn that around. That was, for all intents, a pretty even fight, but now it's a massive gold disparity for MSE, 23.1 to 18.5. Look, this is just the Maple highlight reel in a nutshell. Pulls him back, gets out of the gravity field, snags the kill, hits him with the damage. Stake pulls Stitch in under the tower, and then they give Stake one more. He said, "You've been doing good this game, buddy. We'll take this one."
Just great teleport by Stake. Good flank. This is what we wanted to see from him. And this man is delivering. 205 on that Shen. Still up over 20 CS of LOFS. And now we can see this pressure in the mid lane being applied as the turret gets worked down to about half HP.
And unfortunately for MSE, this is once again Flash Wolves just dominating. Karsa coming in on the backside. If he can kick someone out, they will die in an instant. Maple does so much damage at the stage of the game. Morella Namakan, needlessly large rod in his inventory, and Stake actually surprisingly keeping this tower alive. I don't know if it's going to live.
He goes in with a taunt, lands it on the Stitch, who will take a tower shot for his trouble. Chunks as well. He gets locked down by those chompers. He's still pretty tanky and has that sustain from the Vorpal Blade, so he should be able to keep himself relatively safe. It's just a question of whether or not Stitch can get that turret.
With 2 members committed on the bottom side, I expect Flash Wolves to take something else. They're just going to give this one up. It's not horrible, but it's not really a good choice. I don't feel like that was necessary. I feel like they could have committed more resources down there or committed more resources elsewhere. All they did was secure their own blue and pressure top a little bit. So a little bit of a fumble there for Flash Wolves, but they still have a massive advantage, and this is still looking pretty good for MSE. Karsa determined to make a play and has the tools to do so. Dragon's Rage is available, and he's got the Ward Hop too.
Yeah, but yet again, we were seeing some pretty decent ward coverage coming out from MSC. Same could be said in this game. They have ward coverage within their own jungle, but that's the problem, is that that's the only place that they're able to get wards out. They can't play far enough forward to place wards in the enemy jungle or even just in the river You can see they just have the 2 down around, the 3 down around the Dragon Pit, I should say. But even so, Flash Wolves have such superior vision.
Well, it's true. And we see them slowly starting to push out to contest those neutral objectives, but now that Flash Wolves has a lead, they're pushing into the enemy jungle. And when we saw everyone moving down to the bottom lane, Maple could take his time and take the safe way because he saw Candy. He knew exactly where Candy was coming from, what angle to approach from. Candy did not have that information, and as a result was, found that 2-for-1 trade, and then of course disaster struck when LOFS overcommitted there in the bottom lane.
Yep, that's going to be a big roam into the mid lane. Candy in a bad spot. The charm's still yet to be thrown out. Maple's just holding on to that one. It's going to whiff wide, but it doesn't even matter. He still gets the kill. Chunks gets that headbutt pulverized, but he might just suffer for it. The Unbreakable will pop. He gets knocked up into the air. That's going to be the true damage coming back, and Maple finds the kill, holding on to his Ignite. Doesn't even need to throw that one out for himself.
6-0-1, this is the Maple game that Flash Wolves fans wanted to see in the previous tournament against HKE. This guy has struggled in the past. He's known for somewhat underperforming in these high-pressure environments, but this time around he says, I've got it figured out. We have the confidence after that first win, and now Flash Wolves are snowballing this game out of control, and very quickly MSE are looking down and out, and this is not what we expected at all.
Yeah, and this is the kind of play that Maple needs, the confidence that he needs if he's going to go up against Toys tomorrow in the final, should they be able to close this out. We saw Toys play the Ahri, and it was magnificent from him. And Maple saying, you know what, I can do it too. If only we could go to a 5th game blind pick and have a double Ahri mid lane, that would be the dream. But unfortunately not going to happen. But we can see Maple, he's sticking around in this top side of the river in mid, maybe looking for another pick. The ultimate's still available to Flash there as well. Not going to be able to find anything though. MSE roaming forward, going to try to get some vision ward placed out. But oh my god, Maple actually finds Stitch with the help of Sword Art. They take him down. Candy will find Sword Art though. That Chaos Storm still a ton of damage coming across. So they find themselves another kill, but still 12-2, 7,000 in the lead. Let's take a look at this pick. So Maple just dashes forward. Stitch. Wow, just shopping by the look of it.
I mean,
the only support that came in there from Sword Art was he threw down the Lantern for the shield.
For the assist, more accurately, just for the assist. But that was really interesting. You flash forward to decrease the amount of time that Charm would take to land, assuming that Stitch would try to outmaneuver. But from what we saw, it did, for all intents and purposes, just look like Stitch was shopping, and that Maple may not even have had to burn that Charm.
Yeah, you're playing against an Ahri. You're playing against an Ahri. You're playing against a Lee Sin. These are highly mobile champions. You can't just recall in the middle of your lane like that and expect to get out alive. So just very questionable by Stitch.
So
we were questioning his positioning in the last game on that Cogmaul, and now even just with this Jinx, not even in team fights, his positioning is just proving to be questionable yet again. Sword Art getting really good vision, clearing out these tunnel systems, and just clearing the wards all across the board here. MSE are just losing what little vision they already have.
And then my biggest concern for MSE is you see the way Jinx walks through her own jungle like it's her territory. With these outer turrets down, it's really not. Stake was in that bush. If there had been anyone else...
they're going to start this engage. Stake gets the taunt on the Chunks, who has the Unbreakable Will as he tanks up this turret shot. He's still alive, but I don't think he's going to get out of this one alive. It looks like MSE, no, they can't get it. He dashes away. Meanwhile, that's going to be the tier 2 mid going down as NL and Sword Art pressure that one out. Now to the bottom side of the map. MSE's going to have to back off. Maple's just too damn strong, and this turret's down to half HP. They're going to make quick work of this one to finish it off. It goes down, and now back on the Stake at the top side. Stitch taking this one up. He's got to get out of here, but here comes Karsa. He kicks him over the wall. He does not have the Resonating Strike to follow up. Let's see if he can close the gap here. Takes a bit of damage from LOFS. That should be the pull out from Flash Wolves. They don't want to go too much further into this one. Now Maple hovering around the mid side, maybe looking for Candy on that roam back.
Flash Wolves now.
Though.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing else going to come from this. I don't think both teams going to take this as an opportunity to reset the game a little bit more comfortably. Maple going in.
He goes in. Maple finds the kill over onto Stitch, and now Chunks looks like he's going to get chunked out. Candy getting deleted. It's going to be a double kill for the Ahri, and they chase onto LFS. He flashes over the wall into the red pit. That should keep him safe. Chunks on the run into his own jungle.
They have a Callista. They can take the Baron.
Yeah, they could just go straight to the Baron. It looks like they're going to do that. Sword Art on the chase, trying to take down this support, but I don't think he's going to find it. Chunks should be able to get the execute. One shot, there it is. He does get that one, but that's just a slaying reprieve as they get ready to lose this Baron to Flash Wolves, who are just playing such a strong game.
And this is just absolutely Flash Wolves dominating once again. This Lee Sin pick for Karsa. Honestly, I'm not a fan of Lee Sin, but Karsa is making it work time and time again, finding these picks, finding the pressure for the team, and now you know, without the Sivir, it looked like they would struggle to push the towers earlier on, but Flash Wolves find a lead, they extend it, they break both tier 2s, they break the entirety of MSE, and they secure that Baron for themselves. Looking at this replay, Maple, huge.
Wow.
Everything lands perfectly. He fires. This guy is absolutely unstoppable, and there's his champion pool, unlike Westor, unlike Toys, Maple can play anything. Maple can play Assassins, he can play Control Mages, he can play whatever is needed for the win, and it's looking like MSE are running out of options as far as pick ban strategies, as far as in-game strategies. Flash Wolves are looking unstoppable.
Yeah, MSE does pick up their first Dragon of the game, second in this entire match, but that's just a slight little takeaway when they're suffering so heavily. You can see it's almost an 11,000 gold lead now in favor of Flash Wolves. They've just been stretching this as the minutes go on. Now with that Baron in their pocket, they're just going to keep shoving these waves against the base of MSE and taking down these towers. There's very little wave clear on the side of MSE that can contest with these Baron empowered minions. It's really just a death ray from Candy, but even so, he hasn't even really found an item spike. He has not completed anything other than Sorcerer's Boots and his augments.
Yeah, he's been pigeonholed into finishing these augments because he can't finish anything greater, never quite having enough gold to build anything else. Building the Morellonomicon, which is not a huge show of faith here. Not confident in his ability to secure any further blue buffs, so forced to itemize a little bit more magic regen, or magic mana regeneration than is standard. On a mid laner these days, you're mostly known for going straight into items that are going to be purely about damage, especially with the most recent changes. And really for MSE, they need to find a fight or a pick here pretty shortly, because Flash Wolves can just sit here and protect Baron empowered cannon minions as long as they want. They don't have the 5 dragons to fall back on, but their team composition also isn't going to get outscaled this time around. They have so much raw power, and yes, normally I would say that the Jinx would outscale the Kalista, but this Ahri is just too big to fight, though.
And they're looking for it, but they just can't find it. The Righteous Glory already used. Empty not able to find the pop-up, and they just can't get the lockdown that they want. Maybe they'll try again, but Maple's just splitting in the top side with these Baron-empowered minions, working down that tower. All of MSE is concentrated into the bottom. Looks like Stitch and Candy will roam up, but at this point, I'm very confident that Maple can just 1v2 both of them.
Exactly, that's why they have to send 2 members up.
Find it out, no, that's gonna be the disengage. He doesn't want to follow through. Opts to just finish off the tower, and maybe he's gonna stick around. The wave is moving up, still has that Baron buff for a little bit more time. That should allow him to take this inhibitor. The inhibitor line looking to be broken here at the 24-minute mark. Flash Wolves still going, and now Empty going to the backside with a Void Rush. They lock up Sword Art, but the Fates Call drags him back out. Here comes Empty, gets a double pop-up, NL. But now Empty is just all on his lonesome, and the stacks are going through. Can he rent him out for the kill? LOFS is also low as well. Chunks goes in. A huge burst of damage from Candy, though, as he finishes off Sword Art. NL trying to count back as much as he possibly can, but the Chaos Storm is just too much, and it finishes him off. But Maple has joined the fray, coming in on the backside, already finishing off Empty. It's a 2-for-1 in favor. Karsa from downtown goes in with a resonating strike and just takes out Stitch, and they should be able to swing this in their favor from here on out. Chunks, no unbreakable will. No, he does have the flash, but no exhaust available. The Sonic Wave connects, the taunt connects. They finish him out. Stake finds that kill. Candy gonna have to hightail it out of here, and Flash Wolves, they don't even care to chase him.
And overall, it's a really good response by MSE to make that happen. But at the end of the day, this is Flash Wolf showing up yet again. Maple rotating through inhibitor towers to make sure he could get to his team, to make sure he was there for backup if necessary. And honestly, MSE doing a pretty good job of forcing that fight. But at the end of the day, it's Karsa who is making these plays. The Sonic Wave wasn't in range. He safeguards to the minion at the perfect timing as it's about to expire to finish off that kick. Oh, I'm going to love to watch this replay. So they go in. They have a good fight. They're going to try to peel for NL here because Maple is not available. But Empty tries to shut that down. Has Flash so he can get out here. Disrupts the team fight long enough. The whole team, though, is now forced backwards onto Stake, and no one has the damage to kill him because suddenly Maple is in the fray, and if you focus the Shen, you will go down. Stake gets to reposition with his ultimate because Maple protects him, and this is the play that matters. Stitch out of range, doesn't matter. Hop to the minion. Let's complete it, boys. Finishes that one out. Karsa, an all-star Lee Sin. Amazing, absolutely amazing. This is just cleanup, but at the end of the day, this is Karsa playing well, this is Maple being where he needs to be, and Stake, more than anything else, showing up, going in, blocking off the backline. Once Maple was there to support, he ults to get back to protect his team, and it's just flawless positioning from Flash Wolves in response to what was a very split engage from MSE.
Yeah, and speaking of split, you can see that Flash Wolves are doing just that. They have the Shen on the bot side. It's actually going to teleport as they are looking for this fight. MSE on the run as they kite down toward this Dragon Pit. but this could just be Maple rotating straight back up to the inhibitor on the top side. It is exposed, and it's going to be just that. Chunks goes in as he gets grabbed up, kicks take away, goes in, gets a nice double pop-up on the car side. NL going down, it looks like, but that's going to be the Sand United coming through. It might be enough to keep him alive. Empty tries to get on the backside. Karsa has to flash over the wall, but here comes Maple, and they just turn it around. NL, he runs for the kill onto the right side. Now Stitch getting grabbed up. He goes down. It's a double backswing from the Orbit Deception, and they just rip through the remaining members of MSE. It's a perfect ace going through. No one on the side of Flash Wolves going down. They're going to push straight down the mid lane and take at least 2 inhibitors off this.
Maple is a god. This man is absolutely everywhere. He doesn't even have a teleport, but he always shows up at the most clutch possible time, landing the perfect charm to keep NL alive. NL keep dishing out the damage. Maple keeps showing up when he needs to, and Stank as well. What is MSE doing forcing these fights? They have too much. I mean, it's just absolute chaos. Look at this. NL gets engaged on. You're going to see Rek'Sai come over from the side. NL should be out of this fight. Shenel to protect him as every member of MSE barrels down on top of him. He pulls backwards, and at the end of the day, Rek'Sai, he's going to get this one. It's so close, but Maple, again, coming in to make sure that won't happen. Karsa on the backside. Maple goes so low, but this single Orb of Deception ripping through every member of MSE. Candy doesn't even have a shot here, barely healing up off of that spell vamp to keep himself alive. Maple, flawless positioning in that fight.
And I didn't think it was really possible, but we're seeing a more crushing game than the first one here from Flash Wolves. 22-4. Their lead is monstrous, 16,000 ahead almost, and now they're just going for the Dragons. The Dragons don't even matter in this game. MSE picking up the second one, but it's just a consolation prize for this, what seems like an inevitable loss in this second game. Sure, this will help them take towers that much more easily, especially for Stitch, who already is so effective, but they are just not in a position to be able to actually pressure any lanes. 2 inhibitors down. Their base is going to be in shambles if they ignore these super creeps. They can't leave. They're going to try to get the chase on that Maple, but he's got the dashes away. Righteous Glory goes down. Sure, they get an ultimate, but that's a 90-second cooldown used out there by LFS and the Flash.
And now super minion waves are pushing in. Yes, Jinx will be able to clear this out pretty quickly. That is one thing that's going for MSE, but with 2 waves of pressure, honestly, all of Flash Wolves can pressure bot and probably be able to take that inhibitor tower. It would be a slow siege, but it's one that they could pull off. Karsa not satisfied, though.
Oh, not satisfied at all as he takes down Stitch. Box comes down. LFS gets locked in, goes in with the Twisted Advance. Maple arriving now. Karsa goes back in, gets Arcane Smash back, but the Charm connects, and Karsa finishes off LOFS.
And now MSE is running out of hope. 2 major members down. Stitch caught at low health. Karsa catching him out. This man, a playmaking god for Flash Wolves this time around, with Maple so far ahead, with NL so far ahead. This looks like Flash Wolves will take up their advantage to a 2-0. Once they break this inhibitor, it'll be easy to break the base. Look at Stitch drops low. And this is just MSE not reacting fast at all. They've just panicked. Empty's not in the right spot to protect. LOFS doesn't even throw out the Q. And at the end of the day, Stitch is more than happy to grab that one.
Needle Chunks, even with the Unbreakable Will, he's going to go down. Stake gets a taunt, but Empty's able to burrow out to the fountain. But Stitch gets grabbed up. Let's see how many more kills Flash Wolves can get for themselves. They get that one. Maple taking away the Jinx. Now LFS doing what he can. The Maelstrom's not going to save his life. He goes down. Let's see if they can get the ace. Empty should be pretty safe in the base, but that will be the Nexus falling. That will be game 2 going over the Flash Wolves. Now 2-0 up in this best of 5.
As you said, I didn't think we would see a more dominating performance, but there it is, folks. The most dominant game we have seen from the Flash Wolves in a long time. Looking clean, looking coordinated. They got everything that they needed, and I never thought we would hit the point where Lee Sin was a viable ban option, but maybe you ban the Lee Sin because you're not banning out Maple. It's not going to happen. The guy's champion pool is too deep. He's playing too well. It is just not a realistic option. You can try to take NL's Callista off the board, but then do you give him Sivir? And despite MSE fixing those issues in the draft that we talked about, at the end of the day, it was still Flash Wolves who came in huge, who executed better, who performed better overall, and are looking unstoppable. I didn't think we would. I mean, there's a lot of thought that we might see a 3-0 here, and it's looking like Flash Wolves are showing up. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that if they play like that again, there will be nothing that MSE can do.
Yeah, and you have to question, what is MSE going to do going into the next pick and ban phase? Like you said, Lee Sin is looking so good to ban away, and I don't think they can take it away because they just can't play it. It's
what do you do? You
Yeah.
take away Lee Sin, and now suddenly there's an Elise on the table, there's a Rek'Sai on the table, and if he's making those plays with Lee Sin, a champion that, I mean, quite frankly, not a lot of people play competitively. It's kind of like the fallback for junglers in an emergency situation. This guy's making it look like it should be top tier again. And at the end of the day, that's it. Lee Sin, no matter how much you nerf him, the tools in his kit mean if you are mechanically skilled enough with this champion, you will make it work every time. And that's what we're seeing from Karsa here, as he absolutely crushes MSE, and Empty, who we thought was this top tier jungler, who has really been stepping up, who has been making huge plays for his team, is just looking lost, as time and time again, he can't stop the Sonic waves, he can't protect his carry. And I mean, Karsa's just styling.
Yeah, styling all over him. And I think that, and this is partially my curiosity because I want to see what the big deal is, I think they have to give up the Diana ban on the side of MSE. Just don't ban the Diana and target all bans at Karsa. At least take the Lee Sin off the table because it's just too much for Midnight Sun to deal with.
Well, when we look at how far ahead Maple got, I think you're right. Because the Diana is really, from what we've seen from Westor, you just have to be willing to farm for the first 6 levels. Ahri, of course, needs level 6 for that Spirit Rush, for that extra mobility, but she still has range CC, she still has lockdown, she still has a safe laning phase, and essentially what I would say a more versatile Diana pick, right? Because you can play it like a mage, you can kite backwards, you can go forward, whereas Diana's all about going in, and from what we've seen is, honestly, if you're going to build a comp that has a Rek'Sai, a Maokai, these champions that want to go in, these champions that are very apt at protecting your backline, why are you banning this Diana?
I don't know. It's also just much more punishable. If they want to go for that early gank, use the Twisted Advance to try to lock somebody down, you're going to be much more likely to punish a Diana than you on Ahri because she's going to have that charm. She's going to be able to lock you in underneath the tower, and then you're going to fall. Karsa, sure, he arrived in that gank, but his contribution to that kill was very minimal compared to Maple, who basically got a solo kill. Like, Karsa just kind of showed up, auto-attacked a couple times, and that was pretty much it.
And we're being pretty harsh on MSC, but we kind of expected more of a performance for them once they sorted out their picks. But let's talk about what Flash Wolves did really well. Flash Wolves moved around the map. I mean, yeah, their vision was great. They pushed in further. They moved as a team. Their dives were well executed. They surprisingly read MSE very well. They knew exactly where MSE was going to try to force counter ganks. The second that anyone showed up on the map, Flash Wolves was quick to respond, and at the end of the day, they were the faster team. They played better on a mechanical level. They played better on a macro level, and MSE are just looking outclassed.
Yeah, absolutely. Even just from the draft, Flash Wolves have gotten 2 very strong drafts. We'll take a look at this dive. This was just beautifully executed. Sword Art goes in, tanking this up. The Shen ult immediately from the side of Stake as they arrive. Like I said, that rocket might have been able to finish off Sword Art. Not too sure here. But LFS, he's just doomed from this point. And yeah, like you said, the face call, one more turret attack would have finished off Sword Art. Doesn't go down here. Maokai tries to get the kill. He's just unable to do it.
Right there was really good, because that's how top teams in China and in Korea get early advantages. They pull off these aggressive lane swaps where there's a lot on the line, where if you make a mistake, everything can get turned around. You could drop kills, you could easily throw your advantage away, but if you play it flawlessly, there's nothing your enemy can do, and they knew that. They had the confidence as a team to go in, to take those risks, to have Thresh take tower aggro one more time with that flay, but then to get pulled out by the Fates call, and it was, at the end of the day, really inspiring play from Flash Wolves. This is looking like the Flash Wolves we saw, competing at IEM, that completed in the regular split, that played so well. The Flash Wolves that we thought would be able to take on AHQ, they're showing up huge here against MSE, whereas Hong Kong Esports were flustered. Not even a second here for Flash Wolves. This isn't even Kramer on the main lineup. This is NL, a guy that they subbed out, and they're still performing phenomenally.
Yeah, well, we're going to see if they're going to be able to continue this streak of phenomenal performance, or if they're going to falter and allow MSE to get an entry back into this series. But on the cusp here, Flash Wolves looking to go to the finals. We'll see if they're able to do it when we come back from a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We have plenty more